He's finally done it, gone and paid up. But what are the reasons why? Hi, good morning. Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Thanks for joining me today. This is Breaking Royal News, direct live from London for you. It all centres, of course, upon the latest news from the palace that the former royal known as Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, has decided in principle to offer a payment deal to his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, or Virginia Roberts, depending on which name you wish to use. A lot of people really have already been in touch asking my opinion on this, and more importantly, the reasons behind this sudden change of heart. And also, how now does it play out for the once royal? This is a big story, obviously, and a lot of people wanted to know because it's rumbled on for so long, years in fact when you think about it, and it has really proven to be one of the most damaging aspects from a media point of view for the British monarchy. Let's park to one side that Megxit sort of situation, if you think about that from a couple of years back already. This was far more damaging because this was a senior member of the British monarchy. Prince Andrew was, for a while at least, the favourite with the British public, but his sort of nicknames of Air Miles Andy and the fact that his reputation of being a little bit curt with people really did take off. But the one person who stuck by him throughout was none other than his former wife, the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, who wholeheartedly believed in his innocence. So what is the reason now why Prince Andrew's decided in principle, as I say, to agree some payment deal offer to his accuser? Well, it already stems from this. And let me explain the background to this. This year is going to be a very big year for our glorious monarch, our gracious Majesty the Queen, the only monarch ever to reach 70 years on a throne. Now, why should this truly be blemished by one of her children? And, you know, whatever age you think our glorious monarch is, she's very firm about things. Part of the meeting, what they had recently, late November, and then in the early part of January over at Windsor, was to work out exactly their next move. And the basic agreement was that if it wasn't really resolved by the end of February, early March, then action had to be taken. Now, what's interesting to note is that we won't know much about the payment deal. Whichever sources you go to, that will not be revealed. They can speculate, of course, but the actual deal will not be allowed. There'll be part of an NDA clause in that. And not only that, it's not necessarily about the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, but of course the forthcoming memorial service to the late Duke of Edinburgh. Her Majesty the Queen wants the sole focus to be on his good work, his name, and of course her husband for so many years. With Prince Andrew in attendance, all eyes would be on the wrong person. We still believe he will be in attendance for that memorial service next month, but at least with this, they can draw a line under it. So what next now? Well, according to the palace sources, Miss Roberts or Miss Giuffre, depending on which name you want to use, does plan to, as she stated publicly before, give the money to the charities involved. That's a noble cause, whichever way you look at it. As I say, nobody truly knows how much money that would be. There are going to be huge cost implications on both sides, both damaged reputations, and more importantly, you know, where do they both go from here? Forget Prince Andrew. What happens to her? As we told you recently, you know, there will be lots of media offers. She will become a novelty piece. And I actually feel very sorry for her in many respects, because when you look at her life, she's going to be defined by that particular moment. And it's not a pleasant moment, let's be honest. For Prince Andrew, does he feel he can climb back now into the royal circle? Well, according to good sources out at Buckingham Palace, that could take some time, in fact years. What they expect him to do is lay low, live modestly, and more importantly, keep out of the spotlight, particularly on this all-important year for our gracious Majesty the Queen. As ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the heart of London.